First we had the large electric SUVs, then we went through our phase of the mid-size and crossovers, and now it feels like we're entering hot hatch mode. And this Alfa Romeo Junior is a classic example of that. Welcome to Not Beyond Cars. The Alpine A290, the smart Brabus in #1 and 3, the upcoming ID.2 GTI, yes the Renault 5 but not as quick. We're entering this kind of fun, compact space, proving that electric cars can actually be a bit of crack. And this car, don't confuse it with the one I had on the channel a few weeks ago. This is the Veloce version, 276 brake horsepower, a TorSen limited slip differential to get the power down, sitting on these Michelin Pilot Sport tyres. We're going to take a quick overview look at this car, but the main thing about this version is to go for a drive. Two options when it comes to this version, €51,500 after the grant or 56 for the launch version. Now the previous version of the Junior I had, that was the lesser powered car, but it had got the racing bucket seats and the price of it was pushed up, but actually that car was about 45 grand, so this at 50 seems like a bit of a bargain. The alloys different from the previous version, these Michelin Pilot Sport 20-inch tyres, hoping to keep the car tamed on the road. Alfa Romeo calipers on the side. Apart from the Veloce badge here, there's no real obvious difference between this and the lesser versions of the car. It's all what's going on with the motor. Where you'd normally find an engine in an Alfa Romeo, they have given the option of an accessory pack that you can put your Type 2 cable in, because the boot is 400 litres, not huge. You're going to want to put those cables somewhere. They are on gas struts, however, which is impressive. Front of the car, in case you're not aware, the badge is now no longer chrome. The lower number plate, in modern times, the first time an Alfa's had a number plate centred, you've got to go way back to find it like that in the past. This obviously was a car that was meant to be called a Milano until the 11th hour, when the Italian government stepped in and said it's not Italian enough, you can't call it Milano. Doesn't really matter what version of the car you have, however, because it looks pretty regardless. In here you're going to get two passengers, really, being truthful about it. There is a bit of space for a third passenger. Obviously you will fit 5 people in at a push, but definitely a more comfortable car for 4 people. While the saddle belt seats are beautiful, right? Showstopper, party piece, the whole thing. Getting in and out, the backs of them will catch your knees. In fact, I can still feel the pain from 5 minutes ago. Worth bearing in mind, but really you want those seats for this package. It just works. Same story up the front. You've got the curved screen, physical buttons, lovely Alfa steering wheel, the cowling around here, bit of a nod to previous versions. I do get 147 vibes off it at times. When you look around, there's lots of shared switchgear from the Stellantis group, which are probably one of the main reasons Alfa have financially been able to stay afloat these days. The main gripe for me here is just this initial part of the plastic. It's a little bit cheap and flimsy for something that's going to cost 50 grand. Wireless charging plate down here, and the gear selectors and handbrake switches all down here. There's a B mode for regen if you want. It's kind of a car that you don't want too much regen, because you want to be able to lift off, put the power down again and get through that corner, of which all the mechanicals going on in the background will help you. TorSen limited slip differential. It's lower, it has bigger brakes, better grip on the tyres. It's got a lower stance, it's got a wider track. They have done a lot of tweaking with this, it's fair to say, not just a more powerful motor, throw 276 brake horsepower in and hope for the best. A 51 kilowatt hour battery and 100 kilowatt DC charging. Not the biggest battery in the world. You don't necessarily need one. And this car is probably real world good for 250, 300 kilometers. It's definitely on the lower side of range. If you want to go further, you need to buy the more affordable Junior. Oh, and it's 1,560 kilos, so by EV standards, not even particularly heavy, which definitely adds to the fun. If you are a big Alfa Romeo fan, you might be interested in my podcast, which is called Drivers Republic Podcast, hosted by myself and Paddy Common, who's another motoring journalist. And in one of our most recent episodes, we chat to Olivier Francois, who's the CEO of Fiat, but also the Chief Marketing Officer of Alfa Romeo. So his input has been in this car, and he was talking fairly loose and off the cuff in the episode. So wherever you get your podcasts, you'll find it, Drivers Republic Podcast. 276 brake horsepower through the front wheels. How does that do it then? Well, limited slip definitely helps. Grippy tyres also definitely help. 5.9 seconds to 60. That is just part of the story though, because the torque is just always there. And it keeps on pulling to any sort of road legal speed that you want it to do. It just loves bends, just the way it kind of tucks in, squats down. Yes, if you accelerate a little bit early coming out of a corner, you'll get a little bit of wheel spin, but it all just kind of adds to the fun, really. And the car does manage to grip the odd time, a little bit of wheel spin, all right. But when you compare this to the Renault 5, which isn't, it's the A290 you want for that performance version, but that is still a lot of fun, but it doesn't manage to get the power down to the front wheels with 150 brake as well as this car does with 276. If I was to be driving this with a 1.6 or 2 litre petrol engine, everybody would be raving about how good it is, how much fun it is, Alfa Romeo are back, blah, 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 blah. The fact that it has an electric powertrain is not a reason to discredit what they've done with this car. I've driven an awful lot of hot hatches in my time, and this is really, really good. It just happens to be electric. The brakes have a good feel to them. There's a little bit of tyre noise on these 20s, probably to be expected. I've seen some people say the steering in the Veloce is quite light. I mean, it's easy to maneuver, but at these higher speeds, it has a decent balance of weight to it. Smooth road condition surfaces, absolutely great. It gets a little bit choppy and bumpy when the road conditions aren't as good. The suspension copes. There's just that initial contact with a pothole, bit of pearly surface road, and it gets a bit bumpy. But can you have fun in this? Yes. I also love the fact that you can essentially drive it on the limit to what a front wheel drive car can do. Driving on, it does really use the range. I've got 28% battery and the gasometer is only displaying 62 kilometers. It's not a car for long journeys. That said, you can top it up with 100 kilowatt charging, but what it is capable of is fun. Lots and lots of twisty roaded fun. It's good that EVs like this are starting to emerge now, because I think it's good as part of the story. It's showing people that yes, you can still have fun regardless of powertrain. This gives me hope as well that the hot hatch in some ways maybe be reborn, because in the last few years they have kind of disappeared in the background. We've lost or are losing the focus. The Golf is just about hanging on. The Golf or new just doesn't make sense financially in Ireland anymore. I'd probably buy a demo one of these, let someone else take some of the depreciation, but then just have lots and lots of genuine front wheel drive hot hatch fun. You know, you're coming down into corners faster than you would in a typical EV, squatting down nicely, tucking into the bends, little bit of torque steer, so you're sort of grappling with that every now and again. It doesn't make it undrivable, it just kind of adds to the fun, to be honest with you. It really is good, really, really good. Proper tight bend here now, heavy on the brakes, the speed disappearing, tucking through that bend nicely. One area Alfa have definitely missed a trick in is not putting a genuine augmented reality sound into this car. Something like we've seen in the Ioniq 5N. Yes, it's fake, but it's really good. The gear changes and everything in that car really add to it, and the theatre of it would be definitely improved with this. Just be the icing on the cake, because so much of the Junior Veloce has got it spot on when it comes to hot hatch driving and feel, and that extra proper Alfa engine sound I think will be brilliant. Is this car going to be a huge seller in Ireland? Probably not this version at least. Alfa Romeo are counting on new customers, younger customers, to sample the brand with the Junior. If you want the extra thrills and spills, the Veloce version is a good bit of fun for what it is, but I get, again, as I said in the previous video, people that just want a petrol engine under their Alfa Romeo will probably find it hard to get their heads around. I will say try it though, because it is a lot of fun. It's got a lovely braking feel to it. It's got lots of power to the front wheels. I do wonder how long term you're going to need to keep on top of the tread on your tyres, because getting that power down, even with a brand new set of tyres in it, can be a little bit tricky. At 51, it's a bit of a stretch financially for the size of car that it is, but I suppose you've got to take on board the performance in it. And this is probably where performance hot hatches are going to go over the next while. Yes, the Golf GTI is still around. You could have one of them for a little bit more than this. But for Alfa to continue, it either needs Stellantis to keep putting batteries into it, or someone else to buy the brand. Either things are probably possible. I just don't think with the heritage, there's rumours of brands leaving the fold. I think they're going to want to hang on to this one. It's got so much heritage involved. But let me know, if you're an Alfa fan, would this tempt you back in? Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.